The first one I'm going to read is for my neighbour, Ben Fisher. He's an amateur naturalist, and he and his wife live in Coggeshall now. They've got a funny little natural history museum behind their house, in which is housed the world's largest collection of weaver bird nests. But also, Ben acquired a certain I was going to say notoriety, immortality in the entomology world, because he found in the marshes in Beaumont-cum-Meuse a moth that he could not identify in his moth book. So he took it, put it in a matchbox, took it up to the Natural History Museum and said, "What's this moth?" And the experts got together and they looked and they consulted. And 3 or 4 days later, they rang him up and said, "Mr. Fisher, this moth indeed has as yet to be classified, and it's going to be named after you." And he was thrilled to bits. He's an amateur naturalist, and it's called Fisher's estuarine moth. And Essex Wildlife Trust have planted an area of wildfowl fennel specially for this moth's caterpillar. Anyway, Ben invited me to go mothing. He has a moth trap. And I had such fun with him identifying moths, him showing me how to identify moths. For some reason, I just think moth watching is such a gentle occupation. Lepidoptera are so gentle and soft, and the studying of them is so gentle and soft. And quite unbidden came into my mind Stalin again. I don't think Stalin was a moth fancier. This is called "They Are Not What They Seem to Be" for Ben. Ben Fisher catches them at night, not with a rod and wicker creel, but in a box with a halogen light. They hover and hunt in the cool night air, exotic and varied as Cyclades, in pastel shades, common and rare. A flake of lichen, scrap of bark, a twig of birch, or a withered leaf, his catch sits quiet in the dark. There's humour in their subterfuge. We are not what we seem to be, and cunning in their camouflage. Ben holds a footman in his palm, a Hebrew characters on his sleeve. Catchers of moths will do no harm. A man who watches a poplar hawk tremble and quiver on his knee will never plot to start a war. Flounced rustic, yellow underwing, elephant, spectacle, buff beauty. Men of the cloth gave names to things. Ben Fisher trawls for moths at night, exotic as fish on a coral reef. Captured but calm, they dream of flight.